Alright guys, today I'm going to show you how you can create an AI voice agent that you can sell to local businesses, online businesses, or you can even use it in your own business as a way to get more clients, generate more revenue, and all that good stuff. So the technique we're going to use today is called lead recovery. And this is something I don't see a lot of people talk about, but it really is one of the best use cases for AI voice agents because there's really two main use cases, I think, for AI voice agents. One of them is speed to lead, and the other one is what I call lead recovery. So what is lead recovery? Well, I think the best way is to just show you a little visual diagram I made here. And what you're looking at here is all the steps of a sales pipeline or a funnel for a business, at least the big main ones, which is that we start out with an advertisement. So somebody will see your ad for your business, they'll like it, maybe they find the offer compelling, and what they'll do is they'll move over from the ad to your website, right? They click on the ad and they go to your website. So they've moved along one step in the funnel. But now the next thing is, well, we want them to book an appointment. So again, we have to push them to another action. So maybe on your webpage you have a VSL or you have some qualification form, right? So they go through that and they get to the next part, which is the appointment booking page. Right? So they see this, they see a calendar to book an appointment. And unfortunately, what happens a lot of the time is people see this page and they say, you know what, I don't really feel like hopping on a call with these people. I'm not that interested in this, so I'm just gonna leave this webpage, right? So I'm gonna leave, and they exit out of here and they never book an appointment, right? So what we wanna do with lead recovery is we wanna grab this person that showed some initial interest, but then we lost them and we want to pull them back in and we want to get them to actually book an appointment. And guess what? The best way to do this is by using an AI voice agent. So the way it works is that as soon as they leave this page and it's clear that they're not going to book an appointment, we wait about 5-10 minutes just to be 100% sure they're not going to book, and then we call them automatically with our AI voice agent. So what this does is that the AI voice agent can then hop on a call with this person and ask a question like, hey, I saw that you were interested in our offer, but you didn't book an appointment. Was there anything that was unclear? Was there a specific reason why you didn't book? Any questions you have? And all of these questions can be answered by the AI voice agent because you can connect it to a knowledge base for your business. And it's really effective because when people get a phone call, and especially if you put the branding of your business on the phone call, the caller ID, then there's a good chance they will answer. It works well because people want their questions answered, right? There's always a reason why somebody doesn't book an appointment. And if you can then address that on the phone call, there's a good chance you can convert this person who seemed like a lost opportunity and actually get them to book an appointment. So in this video, I want to walk you through the implementation of how exactly you can do this for your business or for somebody else's business. And that's exactly what we're going to do starting right now. So first step is you obviously need a platform for your voice agent. Personally, for my client that I currently have, I use Retell AI and it's working very well. The voices are very realistic. The latency is not that bad. It's not perfect, but the latency is low enough that it's actually usable. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to set up this exact workflow, the lead recovery voice agent in Retell AI. So we're going to go over here. This is what Retell AI looks like. You can make an account and we're going to create a new agent, voice agent. I'm going to choose conversation flow agent because I think that's really the best way to get started with this. It's creating. And we're going to get right into this. So first off, what should be the first thing that our voice agent says? Well, we can define our initial welcome node. And let's think about this. What do we want this voice agent to say? Well, I would say something like, okay, I saw that you went to our website, but you didn't book an appointment. So let's write that. I saw that you went to our website, but didn't book an appointment. Was there a reason why you didn't book? Okay, so now this is the first problem we have to face is, what is this thing right here that says transition, right? So if you're completely new, this might be a little confusing, but basically what you're seeing here is the possible scenarios that our user might respond with. So right here, just as an example, it says user needs to return the package or user needs to check the order status. So basically what you're doing here is you're describing what the user might say on the call, and then depending on what they say, if it matches with this little prompt we have here, then it's going to move into the node that we tell it to move to. So in our case, we can say user provides the reason why they didn't book the appointment. Okay? And then I'm also going to add another possible condition, which is that user does not provide the reason, right? And if they don't provide the reason, I'm just simply going to end the call, because an important thing to do is you don't want to let these phone calls go on for too long if it's just a pure waste of time, because every minute that the call is going on, you're getting charged for it, you're paying for it. So I'm going to add in an ending node, and I'm going to route this to the end call. Right? So if they don't provide a reason, or if they're rude or whatever, we just politely end the call. But if they do provide the reason, we can move on to the next step. So I'm going to go here on the left, I'm going to hit conversation. It's going to add in another conversation node. We're going to drag this and transition over. So they provide the reason. And then we can write a prompt that says, okay, we can say address the concern from the customer and then ask them if they want to book an appointment. Then our transitions would be, okay, the user says yes to an appointment, or they say they don't want an appointment. And once again, if they don't want the appointment, we're going to end the call. Politely end the call. But if they do want the appointment, well, we're going to ask them, what time do you want your appointment at? So we say, what day and time do you want your appointment? And the condition here will be, user provides a day and time for their appointment. Okay. Now, once they provide the day and time, this is the most important part. You actually have to book the appointment into your calendar. And this is where a lot of people get tripped up. They get stuck in the technical details because it's not very simple to do this. But I'm going to show you the easiest method that I have found and that is working very well for myself and my client. So first thing you're going to need is you're going to have to add a function node. And basically a function node, this is how you connect this voice agent to your backend systems. So if you're using a CRM like Go High Level, for example, Go High Level has a calendar booking system already built in. So you can connect your voice agent to Go High Level's calendar system by using a function call, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to hit add right here. And we're not going to use these cal.com. Personally, this never worked for me. And also, you don't want to migrate to some other system if you're already using your own CRM. So we're going to hit custom function. We're going to call this book appointment. And now to do this part here where it says API endpoint, you're going to need a tool called N8N. You can use any other automation platform like Make, for example. I think N8N is the best one, so that's what I'm going to use. And what I've got here is my N8N account and a workflow already open. So we need to fill in this field that says API endpoint. The way you make an endpoint in N8N is by typing in webhook, making a webhook node. And then this URL here, this is your endpoint. So this is basically the address that we're going to send our data to so that we can then connect it to our backend systems like Go High Level. So I'm going to choose production URL. I'm going to copy this right here, and I'm going to paste it here. So now by doing that, now I have created a connection between my voice agent and my automation platform. And then I'm going to use the automation platform to connect to High Level. So I know it's a lot of steps. It might be overwhelming if you're a beginner, but just bear with me, just copy what I'm doing, and it's all going to make sense soon. So we're making the function for booking an appointment, right? We've put in our URL. Now we actually have to pass in the information. Right? We have to actually send the day and time to our automation. So I want you to click here where it says form. You're going to add a new parameter, call it time. And this is, we're going to put a description which says the time slot chosen by the caller. Okay, so this should be good enough for now, so I'm going to save it. We're going to add that. We're going to connect it to our node right here. And another thing that really improves the experience for the user is you want to enable speak during execution, so that when it's actually making this function call, instead of you waiting like 5 seconds for the function to respond with some data, we can actually speak in the meantime. So we can say something like, okay, I'm checking to see if that time slot is available. Right, that's what we want to say. Now, I just realized I did make a little mistake here, which is that I made this the book appointment node, but really we should call this the check time slot. So I'm going to rename this. Let's see if I can edit this. Yeah, we're going to edit this. We're going to call this check slot. Oops. Check slot. Let's update that, save it. Okay. Now let's build out our automation in N8N. We're going to change this to be a post request or HTTP method. Post. And now we're just going to do a little test. I want to see if I can get my voice agent to send the data over to my N8N automation. So I'm not going to build out the rest of this. I'm just going to do a little test first. I'm going to test to see if this function call is actually working. So let's test out our agent. I'm going to do chat because it's faster. So it says, I saw that you went to our website but didn't book an appointment. Was there a reason? Yeah, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to book an appointment is what I'll say. Let's see. Would you like me to check back with you later? I'm just going to say I want an appointment. Okay, now it asks me the day and time, so I'm going to say tomorrow at 2 p.m. Okay, so now you can see it says tool invocation check slot, and it says tool call to result workflow was started. So that means that it should have sent the data over here. Now I'm going to check here. I'm going to go to my executions and see what we got. What kind of data did we get? So as you can see, we got a lot of data. It actually includes the transcript of our call. But now I want to see specifically the part right here which says check slot. So you can see the time was provided. Remember, in this chat, I said I want my appointment at tomorrow at 2 p.m. I look here in N8N, and I can actually see the words tomorrow at 2 p.m. So we are successfully sending data from our voice agent to N8N, basically to our backend system. So now that we have this initial data, let's actually finish it, finish the automation, and get this to be functional. So personally, I am using High Level, Go High Level as my CRM. And it's pretty cool because High Level has integrations with N8N, so it's easy to set these things up. So you're going to add a High Level node, and because we're checking to see if a time slot is available, we want to use this node here that says get free slots of a calendar. So I'm going to choose my credential. And basically the way this is going to work is that this node is going to give us a big list of available time slots. And then what we have to do is we have to take our text that says tomorrow at 2 p.m. and we need to make the determination, which is like, okay, tomorrow at 2 p.m., let me look at my list of available time slots and see if I can find a match, if I can find a slot for tomorrow at 2 p.m. based on this big list that we're going to get from this node. So first off, let's just do a little test and see if I can get that list of available time slots. So to do it, you're going to need your calendar ID. So I'm going to go to Go High Level, and I already navigated to the calendar settings, but basically you want to go to your calendar settings page, and under your calendar, you're going to see something that says ID. You're going to copy that. So I'm going to copy that, I'm going to paste it here. Now I'm going to execute this node. Let's see. Okay, so you can see it didn't give me any useful information. That's because I have to put in the start date and the end date. So you have to specify a time range of what slots you want to check. And the thing about this though is that if you mouse over this little question mark, it gives you an example of what that date looks like. And you see it's a big number, right, with a bunch of zeros on it. That's because this is what we call a Unix timestamp. So it's not going to be in like the traditional date format. This is like a single numerical representation of the current time. And just to save you the boredom of figuring this out, the trick here is you want to type in new date, I believe. And you want to type in, actually probably do date time now, dot now. And then I believe there's an option to convert that into milliseconds. No. Bear with me, guys. Let me see if I can find this. Here it is, 2 millis. Right, 2 milliseconds. So that's getting the current time right now in milliseconds, which is what this node expects. And then for the end date, we're going to take that same expression, but we're going to add 1 week to it. So I want the time range to be from now to 1 week from now. So I'm going to type in dot plus, then put a 1 week. So 1 week from now. Okay, let's run this again and see what results we get. Okay, we can see that I've got a bunch of time slots. These are the available time slots in my calendar. Now we need to see if I can take that time expression that the user gave us, which was like tomorrow at 2 p.m., and match that up with one of these time slots. So let's do that right now. And the trick is we're going to use an OpenAI node. Type in OpenAI, type in message a model. And the trick here is we need to convert that natural language time expression into an ISO format. Because if you look at this list here, you see how it says 2025-11-26, and then it has the time, and it's all in a standardized format. We want to convert the English language phrase. I'm going to write this out here so you can see it. Basically, our user is saying, I want tomorrow at 2 p.m. But the problem is that computers don't understand that, right? Computers understand standardized formats. So the standardized format that for time is called ISO 8601. So we need to translate this phrase, tomorrow at 2 p.m., into ISO 8601. And that would look something like this, like 2025, 11:26, T09, and then maybe like the time zone, right? So we need to translate this guy, this phrase, into this standardized format. And instead of writing some complicated code to do that, we can just use AI. So I'm going to set this up right now. You can choose any AI model you want. And we're going to say something like, your job is to translate a natural language time expression into an ISO 8601 timestamp. Right? Then we want to say only output the ISO timestamp, no additional text, because these AI models have a tendency to put in a bunch of additional text and that trips up our automation. No additional text. And then, because these time expressions use things like tomorrow or next week, we need to give it some context. So we have to say, what's the current time? So I'm going to say current time is, and then I'm going to put an expression, and we can do new date. Actually, let's do date time dot now dot to ISO. Okay, let me take a drink of water, guys, because I've been talking for a while now. Okay, so we're writing our prompt, and the prompt is supposed to convert a phrase like tomorrow at 2 p.m. into an ISO 8601 timestamp. Let's add in our user prompt. So what I wrote here is what I call a system prompt. So we're telling ChatGPT how to behave. So we're going to change that to system. And then in our user prompt, this is where you provide the actual input data. So I'm going to say the time expression, and I want to grab in that time expression that our user provided. And to do that, just to make this easy, I'm going to go to our execution that we had earlier when we did a little test. I'm going to copy that to the editor. And now we're going to extract that input, which is the phrase tomorrow at 2 p.m., and we're going to put this into our prompt. So let's find it over here. Right here, it says tomorrow at 2 p.m. We're going to drag that over here. And now let's give this a test. Okay, so you can see our OpenAI node gave us this right here, a timestamp. And that is tomorrow at 2 p.m. Awesome. Okay, so now we have our timestamp. We have our free slots in the calendar. Let's pin this. Take a look. Okay, awesome. So now what we need to do is see if this little timestamp right here appears in this list of available time slots. Okay? And to make this easy, you see how these time slots are separated into different days? I would rather this be one big list, because if it's one big list, I can go through it much easier. I can go one by one and check each slot. But at the same time, I'm thinking maybe it might be easier. It might be easier to just use AI once again. Yeah, and that actually might be a lot easier. Basically, what I'm thinking of right now is, do I want to use a end-to-end code node where I write some code that checks to see if the time slot is available, or I can just use AI to do this for me. And for today, I'm going to just use AI because I think it's easier. The only problem, like the truth is, I would use code in the real world because it's more dependable. AI is a little bit more unpredictable. But just for the sake of this tutorial, I'm going to use OpenAI to do this for me. So we're going to do another message and model node. And we're going to say, your job is to see if the given time slot appears in the list of available time slots. Okay, that's going to be our system prompt. Now we're going to say, given time slot. I'm going to go back a few nodes, and we're going to put in our given time slot. And then available time slots. And we're going to grab our available time slots, which we got from Go High Level. But you see, it's not letting me drag that over. Okay. So to fix that, I'm going to try using a set node. Let's see, time slots. I'll call this time slots. Yeah, it's not going to let me do it. All right, guys, I'm going to try to come up with a solution to this right here on the fly. Because if we look at this, it's just a bunch of dates. Yeah, so what I will do, and this is something I recommend to everybody, setting up N8N automations, is just use ChatGPT to write code nodes for you that can solve any problems you might face. So for example, I want to translate this list of dates into one simple list. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do that for me. And the way you can do that is we're going to copy all this text. And we're going to say to to OpenAI, ChatGPT, please write an N8N code node that converts this list of times into a simple array. And I'm going to paste in all that data. Now you can see it's giving me an N8N code node, which I can just copy and paste in. So let's try that out. I'm going to type in code. I'm going to paste this, and let's execute to see if it works. It's giving me an error. Oh, okay, I see the issue. It's because, let's go back to ChatGPT and see what it says. Let's just copy this error message and paste it into ChatGPT and say, I'm getting an error. Let's see what it says. Okay, give me a different piece of code. Let's try that one out. And now it works. Okay, yeah, so it's sometimes you just have to go back and forth with ChatGPT. But now we have this list of time slots. Awesome. And in fact, because that's a simple array, I think what I can just do is keep this very simple. Well, you know what? Yeah, let's stick with this. I was going to say let's use a code node, but let's just use OpenAI because it's easier. So I'm going to drag in my available time slots like I was doing earlier. And it's going to tell me if that time slot is available. So as you can see, it says, no, the given time slot does not appear in the list of available time slots. And then we're going to take that response and send it back to our voice agent. So I'm going to type in respond to webhook. And now our little workflow is complete. So we're going to add in a conversation node, which responds to the user, telling them if that time slot is available or not. So let's go here, transition condition. The function, let's see, function returns data. And we can say, tell the user if the slot is available or not. Actually, no, let's do it like this. We'll say the slot is available. That's one possibility. Or the slot is not available. So if it's available, then we say, awesome, I'll book your appointment now. But if it's not available, tell the user the slot is not available and ask them to choose another time. So then we say user provides a time, and we connect this back to the check slot node, and it's going to check again to see if that time slot is available. So let's give this a little test right now to see if it's working. Okay, so it's saying you went to our website but didn't book. Let's say I'm not ready. And I'll say I want an appointment. Let's say Tuesday at 2 p.m. So it says Tuesday at 2 p.m. is not available. And it looks like we got an error, actually. Okay, I see the issue. So our webhook is not responding. Yeah, we want to change this to be use respond to webhook node. All right, so I'm gonna stop the video here and I'll make a follow-up video where I go into the next steps on how to set up an AI voice agent. But hopefully you guys learned something today. I know I learned a few things, and goodbye.